Hello everyone, my name is Kendra Kaitare and today I'm going to be answering questions from the FTH Nation Box. So the first question being, share the advice you've ever received that changed your life. So the advice that changed my life. It's not, being weird is not wrong. Being weird is not bad. The concept of being weird is actually being unique. If someone calls you weird, they're just trying to, okay, in their view, they may think it's something bad, but we have to see everything from a positive, perspective. So basically, when someone calls you weird, don't take it as a bad thing, take it as a good thing. They're trying to say you're unique, you're different from them, yeah, because them calling you weird, which means they've seen something that you do that they probably wouldn't do, or something that they don't do on a usual daily basis. But the concept of being weird is actually a nice thing. It's actually a beautiful thing. It's not something to take as an insult. It's not something to take to heart. It's something bad. It's just a really nice thing. Take an example. I am weird and I like it. I find it really nice. And then for the second question, what has been the most significant lesson you've learned from the Bible? So the lesson that I learned from the Bible comes from the book of Job. So Job was a very faithful man, a very faithful and very obedient man to God, and he was very cautious not to like go wrong in whatever he used to do for God. He was very cautious not to sin. And then as Satan was wondering about the earth, moving around the earth, and then he comes across God, and then God asks him, what have you been doing? So like, I've been wandering around the earth. Then I came across your faithful servant Job. And then God is just like, yes, Job is very faithful and everything. Then Satan is just like, I bet you if you actually took something from him, he would stop being as faithful as you say he is to you. And then God said, it's okay, feel free to do anything you want, but don't take his life. And then Job lost his cattle, his children. 10 kids is not a big number. 10 kids is not really a small number. You can say like losing 10 kids is something really small. No, you can lose one and it will still cause you depression, but 10 kids, that's just wild. And then despite all that, he still chose to remain faithful to God and said, you know what, the same God who gave me this is the same God who took back. All glory belongs to you. And then Satan saw this, and then he was just like, Lord, if you do something to his body, if I do something to his body, he's not gonna stay faithful to you. He's just going to curse directly at your face. And then God was just like, do whatever you please, but do not do anything to his life. Do not take his life. So the devil made sores break out on the whole body of Job. And then, see, after this, even the wife of Job literally encouraged him, why can't you curse at God? And then he said, the same God who gave me all this is the same God who can take it back, and I shouldn't have any reason to curse at God. And then he went and he sat next to a garbage can and started scraping those sores off. So you can imagine the pain he was going through, but he still chose to remain faithful to God. One of the lessons that I get from this, because Job's friends come and then visit him, and then instead of giving him good advice that keep being faithful to God, everything happens for a reason, they continued, and then they went like, why can't you actually curse at God? Like, do you think what he's doing is right? Do you think it's actually as good as he says it is? And then the lesson you get from this is that your circle matters. The people you hang around with matter. It's not like everyone you meet is meant to be your friend. No, people can give you bad advice, people can give you good advice, and they will all be, it can be contradicting at some point, but your circle matters. And how do you know you're in the right circle? You get to know you're with the right circle by asking God. God will reveal. Matthew 7:7 says, ask and you'll receive, seek and you'll find, knock on the door and the door shall be open to you. When you ask God, he will actually answer you. He's not a God who He's not one of those gods that we see around, on statues, and then they pray to them and then people don't get answers. No, our God answers. Continuing the whole thing, throughout the whole book of Job, after meeting his friends and after his friends, giving him bad advice, he starts complaining. He complains, asks God why. And then in Job chapter 38 to chapter 41, God answers Job. So you can imagine, from chapter 3 to chapter 38, Job was complaining to God. Why did you allow me to get born? Why did you allow this? Why this? Why me? Why me this? Why me that? And then God chose to answer him in chapter 38 and from chapter 38 to chapter 41, where he says, "Who are you to question me with your ignorant mind, with your ignorant self?" Something like that. And then, like, the way God answered Job is kind of in line with the same way Job was questioning God, because God would ask Job a question, and so like, who are you? Do you know who stretched the sun to? Do you know how deep the waters go? Do you know how big the Leviathan is? Leviathan is a sea creature that's said to be mythical, but it's mentioned in the Bible, so I believe it exists even up to this day. But anyways, and then after getting answered by God, Job saw that the way he asked God, the approach he used wasn't right? He approached God in a very, interrogative manner, and it wasn't the right way to go. And then in chapter 42, that's when, Job realized that, what I've been doing is wrong. Let me, Lord, I'm sorry for the way I approached you on this matter, and I thank you so much for, giving me clarity. And then in the end, all the things that Job had lost were multiplied. His cattle was multiplied. If he had 300, then God times 2, 600. If he had 500 times 2, 1,000. God literally multiplied and literally gave him 10 more kids. So overall, Job had 20 kids. Now you can imagine the age gaps and how old Job was by that time after having 10 kids. Then you also imagine how old he was after having those other 10 kids. And then in the Bible, it says, like at the end of the book, it says, then Job lived for more years, You can imagine how old he was. So him being faithful to God, him remaining faithful to God, regardless of the things that he was going through, the Lord was also faithful to him. You never go wrong with serving God and being faithful to him. He's also faithful to you as well. He will never leave you in the dark. There is something that Apostle Joshua Selman loves saying. He says, as a Christian, as a believer, there is always a way out. There is always a loophole. No matter what you're going through, no matter how bad it may seem, no matter how bad it may look, just know God literally still has you. Like, he creates a loophole. He always creates a way out. And then, in addition to what God did, he gave him 3 beautiful girls. And the Bible says they were the most beautiful in the whole entire world, and there's no one else who has come to that beauty. So you can imagine the level of faithfulness that Job had to him. He stayed faithful to God, and then God was just like, you know what, I will also be faithful to you. And it did not end with Job. The Bible says there is nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new to the face of the earth. The same God who blessed Job back then, is the same God who can bless you today. Is the same God who will remain faithful to you today. So yeah, the major lesson that I got from the Bible is that if you remain faithful to God, He will also remain faithful to you. You can never go wrong with God. Yeah. Thank you very much.